Hello, I'm delighted to have the opportunity to introduce this DVD, which shows part of the experiences, indeed part of the work, which is undertaken by the Zambian Immersion project team 2013. I hope that those people who previously went to Zambia and who see this DVD brings back fond memories of their time in Africa. I also hope that the DVD will serve as an inspiration to staff and pupils who are currently at the Abbey, so that they are maybe in the future will take up their opportunity to follow in our footsteps. Thank you.
For the selection process, we sent in an application form, we filled her in, and then we give it in to Mr. Evans, into Dave Evans. And we had a fundraise as well. Do you want to talk about the fundraising aspect of it?
Yes, well, we each of us did a bit of fundraising over the summer to try and raise a bit of money, get the money going from early on. And myself and Paul McKeever organised a little music session night down in Silverbridge Football Club, and we had Irish dancing and we had good old traditional sessions.
Fantastic night, absolutely fantastic.
It raised good money, and John, you can do your.
Well, I had something completely different. I rode across a part of Loch Ness, and I got sponsorship money out of that. It wasn't easy, McKeown. It wasn't easy.
Couldn't imagine it being easy.
No, it wasn't easy. But there was a bit of a draft that day as well, so it wasn't the easiest of trips. But still raised a lot of money, and we used that towards the Immersion project, and that was a way of selecting differentiating ourselves to select us. Yeah. So that's practically what we did.
And whenever we got back to school at the start of September, we had little short meetings after school, and just basically it was just to see if you were capable of going to Zambia, just showing all the different qualities that you could bring to the group and why you think that you should be chosen, and
how you worked in a team, and it was just different things like how you communicated with people. Yeah. But I had a few interviews, about 3 or 4, no, it was more even. Meetings, about 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. And so it was a fair process. We all had different ways of getting selected, and thankfully it worked for me and Cal here. Yeah. So I'm very grateful.
Our main objective was to raise funds. Start of the year we set ourselves a target of about 40 grand. So we'll go about it. We all had a brainstorming exercise, and we all come up with a couple of real good ideas. Like say, Rand Hughes there, his mum takes dancing, and between Ryan and his mother, they organised the jigs and reels and Bellinis for the middle of January there. So it was one of the first things that really came to mind. It was going to be a real money grabber. So we started training for it around November time. During that time, there was, at Christmas time, there was backpacks in Sainsbury's. We were up one morning at 5 o'clock to go down to the airport. You know, it was a real effort put in. We were selling tickets for jigs and reels in shopping centres and trying to get them flow. So it was a big effort. And then I think it was myself who came up with the idea of a bake sale. I think my mummy had been on my back about it. That our ladies have them and they're very successful. So we all pitched in, and our parents would have helped us. And I think 3 or 4 occasions before we went, there was a bake sale on a Friday. We'd take in cakes and James O'Hare with his auntie's brownies and cleaned out like, and we'd go down on the Thursday before and go down to the wholesalers and get a load of drinks and we'd sell them. It was a real good, you know, you wouldn't think it, but we made an awful lot of money off it. And then Tess, fair play her, she got us the Priest's night. The turnout was fantastic and it was a real good night, and we're supported by the Abbey Choir and Clockmore Male Voice Choir, and it was a great night, great turnout, and we were delighted with it. It was only a couple of days before we went away, so it really sent us away in good form.
Time has numbered my days, and I'll go along with everything you say. But I ride home laughing, look at me now, that the walls of my town, they come crumbling down. And my ears hear the call of my unborn sons, and I know that choice is colour all I've done. But I'll explain it all to the watchman's son. I never lived a year better spent in love.
Well, every day our normal daily routine was we normally got up at around 7 o'clock or so every day, which to give us a half an hour to get breakfast, get washed, get ready for about 7:30, to get ready to be out at the front. To be at the front gate for about 7:30 or so to take us to our respective schools, wherever we were at. We would normally leave 7:30 sharp and get the minibus from there then. We would spend 4 hours per day in the school from 8 to 12. Our teaching day would stop at 12 o'clock. And during that time we'd have a 15-20 minute break or so. And then once 12 o'clock did arrive, we'd get the bus back to the hotel again. And the ones who were at the HIV clinic that day would come back and they would make the lunch. And they'd have the lunch prepared for us who were coming back from the schools. Generally we'd be ready to leave at about 1:20 to 2 or so to go to a different location every day. For instance, it could be the hospital on Monday, or it could be the quarry on Tuesday, things like that. And we would generally spend the rest of the day there until about 4-5 o'clock. And when we would get there at 5 o'clock, we would get the bus back to the Nubasi orphanage, and we would spend the rest of the day 7:30 there. And then once that was done, we would come back. Then, and we would prepare the dinner. We'd go to the supermarket, get the ingredients for the dinner, and then prepare it for the rest of the team. Then once the dinner was over, then Mr. Brady would organise a meeting every night, which was he would have different questions for us to make us think philosophically. The questions would be like, what annoyed you most today, or what was the positive aspects that you've witnessed today, things like that. And he would give us 15 minutes or so to go write the answers down. Once we had the answers finished, we'd come back and we'd all have a big discussion about it. After the meeting, we would have to prepare for the teaching the next day. We'd have to for teaching stuff that we had taken over. However, at the weekend we would have a slight lie-in or so. Get up at about 8:30, and then we'd be ready for about 9 or so. Go up, and one of the Saturdays we went to Victoria Falls, and the following Saturday we went to Chobe. We'd be ready for that. We'd get the bus there, and we would spend all day long there. Come back, still have the journal questions, but they wouldn't be as, I don't know, from the heart or philosophical as they normally are. Then we'd normally be back home about 8 or 9 that night, and that would be it. We would do what we felt necessary for the next day.
While out in Zambia, we visited 3 schools, 2 of which we funded, and 1 who have been very kind to allow us to teach there. Nguyen is the one that we don't fund, and Linda and Abu are the 2 we do fund. The kids in the school are absolutely amazing. they're so enthusiastic to learn, the drive they have to get a bright future is unbelievable. Like, none of us have the same drive as they do. In the Gwenya school I was in, we taught them basic mathematics and English. Standard of maths compared to English is unbelievable. They are doing the equivalent of second year maths, and their English is the equivalent of P6s, if lucky. A lot of them didn't understand what was going on or what we were saying or doing, and we had to get many of the smarter people to explain in their language what to do. So teaching was tough to say the least. We would have taught them the likes of science as well, basic biology, for example, lungs, heart, respiration. In the afternoons we would have been outside for 20 minutes to half an hour, just for something different for the kids every day. Just go outside, play games, get closer to them, get to know their names, get them to know us more. Would have played the game they love, Do Like I Do, and would have had different games that we played with the likes of tennis ball or football.
Oh, come.
I do.
No, you're right.
So after a few days of settling into Zambia, we all started teaching, but every day 3 of the lads went to the daycare to help out, which we started off in the morning by visiting Sister Mary at St Francis Daycare, and we had a wee cup of tea just to settle in, and then we went to one of the women called Margaret to the different clinics to help out. Most were HIV clinics, where every day there was a 19-question questionnaire on how you can get HIV and how you can help to live with it. So after the first day, I was with James and Aaron and Orla. We visited a girl who was 28 and had HIV, had taken medication for it, and the medication had made her blind. But unfortunately her husband had left her at this stage with a 9-year-old child, and even though she was blind, every day she had to do numerous chores like clean the house, cook dinner and prepare food. She had her sister living with her and her sister's daughter who also helped, but obviously it was very tough to see this. On the last day, while everyone else was at school, I went to a clinic for mentally ill patients where I helped to distribute out medication to patients with Down syndrome, depression and other diseases that hadn't actually been diagnosed by the doctors. But unfortunately some of the medication that they were given was actually addictive. So while they were getting medication to help with these mental conditions, they were also getting medication to counteract these addictions.
I never thought it would actually, for me, HIV just seemed like something you read on paper. To go out and see people with HIV and see the complications behind HIV was something that will always stick with me. And on one of our daycare visits, we visited a young woman who was 25. Her name was Matinda. She contracted HIV from being given a dirty needle in a hospital, so it wasn't her fault at all. A complication from the treatment from HIV has left her completely blind. She went blind when she was 18, and because of this she had to leave school and is now under constant care from her mother. My first encounter with her was walking into the room and seeing her sit in the corner waving flies away from her porridge. And the one thing that struck me was, although there is a lack of opportunity in her life, her faith and her sense of good mood. And I reached out and held her hand, and she said a prayer.
said a prayer for the visitors to our home to protect us, and just the sheer hope of the people there is something that really struck me. The problem with HIV is they have so many tablets to take at certain times of the day, and if they don't take these tablets, the resistance builds up to these tablets and things get complicated, and I think it's something we take for granted at home, the drug treatment we have.
Bassey Orphanage was great. We went there about 4 o'clock every day. You stayed there for maybe 2 hours, went home at 6. We didn't do all that many structured activities in the Bassey, apart from with Orla one day or 2 days making Easter cards for the children on the very last day, and 2 other days we made little photo frames for them and then had a photo of all of us and some of the kids that made the photo frames, so I think that was good for them. Like apart from that, there I was just playing with the kids in the swings or playing football with them. In some cases, helping them with the homework. Like it was brilliant. I think it was really the highlight of the trip, or highlight of each day for me. We got a lot out of it, and the kids got a lot out of it too. Just to see the smile on some of their faces was great when you were playing with them. Everybody got close to children, 1 or 2 children when they were there, and it was really hard leaving on the last day. Marty had the one he was close to robbed off him a few times, which led to a bit of a stick in the group. But no, it was really good, and we were all getting letters and pictures and stuff like that there off the children, and like, I really enjoyed it. If I had to go back if I was going back to Zambia, definitely, if I only had to do one thing, it would definitely be to go to the Bassey. I still remember the last day when we were leaving on the bus. Normally on the bus on the way home it was great crack, and we were everybody was buzzing and full of energy and all that there crack. Dave bore the brunt of it one day when we found him running on the way home, but on the on the very last day it was totally different. I mean, I don't think there was more than a couple of words spoken on the way home in total. Like everybody was just quiet and just reflecting, and maybe took us, everybody was kind of sad at what they were leaving behind. And it really took until that once we'd packed up and once we were in Olga's eating dinner before we left, I think that everybody started getting back to normal. When a photo of Pete was passed around, which was entertaining enough to say the least.
Hang on, dance off. Dance off then.
Where's Ross?
Dance off, lads.
Hey!
Do the work, man, do the work.
Goes that up?
The day of our visit to the hospice, the morning of it, we just got back from school, and Dave told us, prepare yourself, you're going to be in for an emotional roller coaster basically. We were expecting to see some pretty hard sights. So we were preparing ourselves all morning, and we went in the afternoon. He was our bus driver, took us up. When we got there, we saw a reasonably big building, and it was a decent building for Zambian standards. There was a chapel, and there was a fair bit of land around it as well. And we got inside, and there was a couple of people in the foyer, a couple of children, and a lot of tears, and they didn't appear to be well. But anyway, I met our tour guide then, the woman who would be a coordinator of the hospice, and she explained to us straight away that there would be no people there because they do not have the funding to admit people. The Zambian government pulled their funding because they would rather people go out to the daycare centres in their compounds, and that's where they'll receive their treatment instead of going to a hospice. It's a crying shame, to be honest, because the majority of these people who are on their deathbed aren't making it to these daycare centres. They're dying in their own home, which is a shack on a rug. That's not the way to, imagine your own parents or a member of your family. So we were shown around and we saw great facilities by Zam standards, all these beds, and they're all lying there empty, not put to use. Such a shame, to be honest, such a great resource, and it's not available. For us to fund it, it would cost maybe 25 grand a year, and that is something that it's not something we can afford to do. Then we visited, the second Friday we were in Zambia, we visited the hospital. Father John, the local priest, who we were close with, took us and showed us around the hospital. First ward was the children's ward, and again there were very few children, but the children who were in it were in obvious distress, and you wouldn't know what was wrong with them. We were told, but there's nothing. It was so hard hitting on all of us when we were walking around, and there was children bawling their eyes out, and mothers faulty, telling them that everything was going to be all right when you'd really wonder it. Then went on to the female ward. The female ward, it was one of the hardest places I've ever been in. The women lying on their bed, lying just on the floor in the rug, topless, shaking, basically on their deathbed, all due to HIV and diseases resulting from HIV. We went around, I thought fair play to the rest of the boys, some of them could initiate a conversation, and although in reflection later on that night I thought that we were maybe intruding, and I myself, if I was in their position, I wouldn't have liked to have had 15 boys or 15 people coming in. There's no doubt about it. Fair play to the boys who could sit and have a conversation, because it was one of the hardest things I have ever seen. Got to the stage where when we were shown to the male ward, I couldn't go in to the whole ward because I felt physically sick. People on their deathbed, helpless, young people my age, 18-year-olds. I went into the half of the room and I walked out. I couldn't take any more. It was between it and the quarry the day before. It was just a culmination of emotion, and they were the two biggest testing experiences of Zambia 2013.
Before I went to Zambia, I heard about child labour, and I heard other people's stories about what they witnessed. But to be honest, it went over my head and I didn't think about it much. It was somebody else's problem. But actually having witnessed it firsthand, seeing people with no water, with no food, crush rock for 12 hours in the day, earning £1 a day, it had to be my problem. And the quarry was one of the worst things I have ever seen, not just in Zambia, but in my life. It was a Thursday. We all started off in good form going to the quarry. We had heard stories about it that it was going to be tough, but we didn't realise it was going to be this tough. We started off by talking to the workers that were there, the adults, myself and Ryan and Cahill. Seen a man that had HIV, TB, and he had holes in his legs and he couldn't move. Still had to crush stones all day because that was his only income. We also then, I was talking to a couple of the children there. Literally, it was like a cliffside. They were playing on a cliffside. If a children was to fall over there, you know, it would be the end of them. But I can always remember this one child. And you say to yourself, is this wee boy happy? And he said he's the complete opposite of happy. He's so very sad. Something that had an impact on me and I will never forget. His lack of communication. I lifted him, I talked to him, but nothing. It's something I always remember and always be with me. It was, as one of the teachers described, like a concentration camp. It was just absolutely ridiculous. It was, I'd never seen anything like it in my life.
Well, during the second week, I think it was the second Wednesday, we were given the chance to meet up with the St. Raphael's students, and we were able to walk home with them. Each of us were given a student, and we got the chance to travel home with them and to meet their family and learn about their lives and about their daily routine, their hobbies and their interests and their future ambitions. From my own experience, the person who, the boy's name was called Morpha, and he was 16 years old, and funny enough, we had very similar interests. He had great interest in football, and he was very passionate about music as well. He was a good piano player, and it was a very, from an experience-wise, walking home, it was very sort of strange. With all these wee children, just we were waving at them, and they didn't know what to think of me. Sort of, they were just like, this white person coming, it'd be a completely new experience to them. But no, when we got back to the house, it was such an experience to meet with his mother and his father. Neither of them worked, so he didn't know if he was going to be able to afford to go to university, which was such a very sad thing, because he was the equivalent of an A-star student back home. He was very, very intelligent, and he wanted to go on to do pharmacy at university, but as I said there, he doesn't know if he can afford it or not. In terms of the home was very, very basic, and there was a very, very small sitting room with it was like a very small couch, and to the side there was a wee place, probably 4 foot by 6 foot, where they did their cooking, and there was 2 very small bedrooms on the right hand side of the house. There were 7 in the house altogether. There was himself, his mother and his father, his wee nephew and his niece were staying with him, and he had 2 older brothers as well were staying. So you know, there was very, very little room in the house to accommodate all them. But yeah, the mother and the father didn't really speak very good English, so it was sort of a wee bit difficult to sort of get the points across. Morpha had to do an awful lot of translating for me, but you know, they were very. You could tell that they were all very, very thankful and so grateful that I came to visit. That one of us came to visit them, and my presence there was very much appreciated by all of us there. And I think when we all got back to the college, we met up with them again, all of the students, and we enjoyed a nice wee drink of Coke with them, a wee bit of Fanta as well. I think we ended up waiting 20 minutes on Johnny. Johnny enjoyed the experience very much. So that was basically it from experience-wise. It was really good to see what the life of a student from St. Raphael's was like, because they're sort of around the same age as us, well, exact same age sort of. So it was just very nice to compare the sort of 2 daily routines together.
On the first Friday we were in Zambia, we went to Ngwenya Plot to see the work Sister Mary had been doing. And the first thing we found out, we were showed around the crops were growing and the number of workers they had. They had about 4 or 5 workers on the plot just because there were no machines, so it took a larger number of people to work in a small area. We were then shown the buildings where the animals were kept, and we were actually told that the pigs that were previously in there a few weeks ago had all just died a number of weeks before, and this was purely because they were not kept well, and the houses were not cleaned regularly enough, and they all got infections and died. But new pigs were being brought in to help the people, so they'll be able to grow them and then sell them in the market and make some money. And also the Sister Mary had ensured that there was going to be a new person, a supervisor in the plot, to make sure that they were cleaned regularly and that no infections would be brought in. And also Gwenya received 200 chicks. They bought 200 chicks that would then be sold at the market a few weeks later whenever they were fully grown. We then went to Lebu. It was the second place we visited, and it was better equipped for growing crops, as they had a number of water wells close by so that the plants would be watered easier. But the buildings were not as good. They were quite poor quality and very small. We also received 100 chicks to then grow and sell at the market. And each plot was visited twice, because the second time round it was the working day. We went and did some manual labour for about 2 hours or so, and I myself was in the video, whereas 5 of the other boys went to Gwenya. And in Gwenya they were digging and planting onions, as we were using the buckets to water the plants for a couple of hours. Young James wasn't quite fit for it, but still we were pretty much carrying him along, but we got through it eventually. The boys who were in Gwenya had a particularly hard day's work. There were a few war wounds to show. In particular, Andrew actually sacrificed his arm to get the work done, but he powered through and we got there in the end.
As we surprised, we went to Victoria Falls on the Saturday, just to sort of, where all the other lads have been talking about the poverty-stricken areas in Zambia, but this was more of the natural beauty side of Zambia. It was a wee 5-minute drive from Faulty Towers on the bus, so we went on the Saturday during the daytime. It was just unbelievable, words couldn't describe it. Everyone enjoyed it, especially myself. I was looking forward to it. When we arrived at Victoria Falls, we were just sort of met with a family of baboons, but thankfully we had Andrew Givern, the baboon whisperer. He's very good with animals, so we were safe enough. He managed to remember to bring some apples to feed the baboons, so we were grateful for that. But on the second night before we left, I know Dave himself was very keen to go during the night time to Victoria Falls to see the lunar rainbow. So we all decided to go as a group during the night time to Victoria Falls, and we managed to see the lunar rainbow because it was the full moon. So I enjoyed that very much, and I know Ryan enjoyed that with his little phone incident. But it was something else. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Do 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 do. Today I'm laughing the clouds away. I hear what the flowers say and drink every drop of rain. And I see places that I have been in ways that I've never seen. My side of the grass is green. Oh, I can't believe that it's so simple. It feels so natural to me. If this is love, then love is easy. It's the easiest thing to do. If this is love, then love completes me. Cause it feels like I've been missing you. A simple equation, no complications to leave you confused. If this is love, 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 it's the thing to do. Do, 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 you. Feel the way that I do. Do I turn your great skies blue and make dirty streets look new? And the birds sing, tweet, twiddly-dee-dee-dee. Now I know exactly what they mean. Oh, I can't believe that it's so simple. It feels so natural to me. If this is love, then love is easy.